I'm Al Bacon, and I would like to welcome you to my Let's Fix It Right channel for easy and straightforward solutions for your home improvement, maintenance, and repair needs and projects. And this is my faithful assistant Cody, who will help us get this project right with his dogged determination and helpful project tips. In these two episodes, Cody and I show how to design, build, and install a wall-mounted stair handrail with mitered connections to the wall. Part 1 addresses designing and building the handrail, and Part 2 shows how to install it. For a link to Part 2, select Show More below. This was my original roughed-in builder-grade stairwell and handrail leading into my basement. As you come down here to a landing and make a 180-degree turn, there's another short set of stairs into the basement. This is the final result of my wall-mounted handrail with this two-piece mitered connection to the wall. As you can see, its beautiful appearance blends in perfectly with the wall, upper stairs, and stair skirt. This is my first attempt at this project. Most importantly, using my measuring, cutting, and installing techniques in this video, you'll be able to achieve similar professional results on your first attempt as well. Per Cody's tips, stair handrails must meet these 3 residential code building requirements for distance from the wall, rail length, and handrail height from the stairs. The handrail must be 1 1/2 to 4 1/2 inches from the wall for easy gripping. It must span or cover the length of the staircase from the top of the highest riser to the lowest riser. And lastly, it must be between 34 to 38 inches from the stair nose to the top of the handrail. As you can see, my final handrail solution is approximately 2 1/4 of an inch from the wall. It spans the entire stairwell from the top riser to approximately 5 or 6 inches past the bottom stair riser. And lastly, its height measures a little over 36 inches from the stair nose to the top of the handrail. I started this effort by building these practice mitered handrail end pieces using my old roughed-in handrail stock. As you can see, I built 2 different end pieces. The one-piece mitered return on the right consists of 2 45-degree angle connections, and this 2-piece mitered return on the left consists of 4 22.5-degree cuts or connections. Per Cody's tips on the right, the 90-degree bend is made up of 2 45-degree angle cuts, or 45 plus 45 for a total of 90 degrees to make the turn. And the bend on the left is made up of 4 22.5-degree cuts whose sum total equals 90 degrees. You guessed correctly, my wife selected the more difficult 2-piece mitered return that she saw in a display home for our new stairwell. If you are going to paint your handrail like I did, I recommend that you build either a 1-piece or a 2-piece mitered return. However, if you're going to stain your handrail similar to this oak handrail in our good friend Ray and Connie's new home, I recommend that you go with a 1-piece mitered return, which is much easier to build. As you know, stained wood is more prone to show mistakes and flaws. Prior to starting work on my actual handrail, I decided to make this jig so I didn't waste any of the expensive handrail material that I purchased from Home Depot. As explained by Cody, this jig has 4 purposes. It helps provide first-time cuts that are totally accurate, ensures the 2 sides of the mitered turn are equal, ensures that the handrail distance from the wall is correct, and lastly, It facilitates accurate handrail height and length measurements. As we build the handrail, I'll show how the jig helped with each one of these purposes. With that in mind, let's get to work on the jig now. Okay, so I'm out in my garage and I'm going to set up my table saw to cut the same width as my stock handrail. We'll fire up the saw and cut one length out of this. Okay, so I showed you my practice rough draft cuts before. My wife has selected the 2-piece in solution over the 1-piece, a 45-degree angle piece. And so, as you can see, this distance here on this practice piece is much longer than this. So it's out of proportion. It doesn't look professional. So the idea is to make these two distances equal. Align the bottom center of the rail with the mounting bracket holes and meet the code requirement for the inside handrail distance to the wall being between 1.5 to 4.5 inches. We're going to install our hangers against a piece of 3/4 inch pine, high quality 3/4 inch pine against the drywall. And we're doing that because we don't want to install the hanger directly on the drywall because it's going to compress and damage the drywall over the years. This is the brushed nickel handrail wall bracket that I purchased from Home Depot. However, if you would like to opt for something else, select more below for a link to several similar wall brackets in different sizes, finishes, and colors. In addition, if you are in need of any tools similar to the ones I use in this video, select more below and evaluate my recommendations where I've provided links to these tools. The pine is 3/4 inch, and the distance from here to the center line is 2 11/16 inch. So 2 11/16 plus 3/4 is 3 7/16 inch, which I use for the center line of the rail handle on the jig here. I've drawn this for your purposes. You can see these lines below in the background. I've traced this out using our 2 1/4 inch stock that we cut to simulate the width of the actual handrail. I went through 4 iterations on the jig to determine the correct length of the mitered edges. I started off with 3-inch lengths for the 2 mitered pieces, but they were too long because the rail exceeded this outside line. So I dropped them to 2 3/4 inch, which were still too long, and then dropped them to 2 3/8 inch, which was too short. And finally determined that the optimal solution for each side was 2 5/8 inch. Also, for those of you that want to go with just a simple 45-degree for that solution, I cut a 45-degree piece out here, and the distance from here to here is 4 3/8 inch. So I've mentioned I have 2 22.5-degree indentations settings on my compound miter saw here and here. I've captured the 22.5 degrees here on my adjustable square, and I've also captured this distance here, 3 7/16 here, transferred it to the outside edge of my actual stock. So at this time, let's set this up on the compound miter saw and cut it. And this is our first piece. As you can see, this fits in here nicely. And our other piece will fit in just like this. Okay, so for our second cut, I've reversed the direction of the 22.5-degree cut, as you can see, and I've marked off. We want the outside edge to be the longest, so I've marked off 3 7/16 out here in this region here, and we'll make our cut right along here. Okay, so let's see how that fits in here. As you can see, we have a nice even cut that pretty well replicates that. It's a little bit off, but it's a little bit off center, but it's good to go. And let's fit this up. Let's set this up in here so we can see exactly what it's going to look like, because we're going to use these same dimensions on our other side. And as you can see, we've got a good setup here. Okay, so when we set this up on our jig here, it initially appears to be off, and the reason is because the bottom area is narrower than the top area, the 2.25 inch width of the handrail. So when you move this up towards the top, you can see that's perfectly in line. So we've got equal distance here, and we're right under the center line of the handrail is right under holes on our bracket, attachment bracket. So if we attach these to this end of the handrail stock, you can see we have a nice fit with equal distance here, and at the correct distance out from the center line from our mounting bracket stairwell wall plate. Okay, so using the two pieces on the left side that I just cut, I nailed these together with 2-inch brads going through the top in an angular fashion like this. And I started on the top because I didn't want to go on the side and cause it to slip. So we come in through the top, you cannot, cause it will not slip. And I flipped it over, put 2 in this side, and then came in from the side for 1. So we're going to do the same thing now on the right side. Now I cut the right side using the same approach that I showed you cutting the left side. And as you can see, pretty close in dimensions. It may be about a 1/16 of an inch off or so. You're not going to notice that after you mount it on the bracket. So it's close. So it's good enough to go. And also what I want to mention is, prior to attaching this to the large stock, we want to sand around and smooth this out and probably inset these nails and put plastic wood over them too, so our paint this white look good. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and glue and nail the right side of the 2 end pieces together. Okay, so I'm applying Elmer's carpenter's glue or wood glue, and we'll put plenty of it in here. Distribute it, and you can see I've got too much, which is okay. We'll just wipe the excess off. So we'll put this flat up against our jig and line up the second piece and try to get this as flush as possible. And taking our nail gun with the 2-inch braids, come in from the top. Got a nice nail set here. Nice 2-inch braid there. Flip it over. One, 2, and then on the outside. This will give us our 5th brad. Okay, so we have 5 brads here, 5 in here. Okay, so we made progress here. I've filled our brad holes with this plastic DAP plastic wood. I'll use the natural color. Since I'm painting, I could have used any color. I filled the holes and sanded over those, as well as the seams weren't perfectly meshed together, but they were decent. I took the excess off with my Dremel. Started with my Dremel and the barrel sanding application, a sander bit that came with it. And then I used a 150 grit sandpaper, sand the edges down. So we're in pretty good shape. We can move on and start installing our 2 end pieces. Start on the right side. I've reversed this direction here. I have the long portion of the handrail clamped down pretty good. So what we're going to do is nail into it at this time. So once again, just like we did before, we'll apply some glue. Spread this out evenly throughout. So let's get this one flush just like we did the others, and start at the top. Put 2 into the top. While we have it clamped, now that we have 2, we can go to the side. And you can see that that did not move because we had the 2 in the top. And let's unclamp. Flip this over. And we'll put 2 into the bottom. And we've got that joint complete. Next step is I'll use my nail set these in the same way as we did here. Sand this out, first with the Dremel, then with the 150 grit sandpaper, and then we're ready to check the insulation. So when I say that, I'm talking about sizing the handrail to the stair rail. And what I'm talking about is setting this up at the right height, and we're gonna have to cut it in here someplace because this is about a foot and a half too long. I already know that from looking at it ahead of time. Otherwise, I'll do that, and next step is we'll move on to the stairwell. This completes this episode where Cody and I showed you how to design and build a wall-mounted stair handrail with mitered connections to the wall.